never lose your sense of wonder. Man, that is a powerful, grounding sentiment, isn't it? Those are the words of the late John B. Mulliken, a lifetime mentor and just an absolute monumental figure in the world of craniofacial surgery, whose life spanned from 1938 to 2026. When we look at complex medical procedures, it is incredibly easy to get completely lost in the clinical sterility of it all. The scalpels, the sutures, the dense anatomical jargon. But if we approach it with a real sense of wonder, exactly like Dr. Mulliken advised, we begin to see these procedures for what they truly are. It's this awe-inspiring intersection of human geometry, artistry, and literally life-changing healing.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a highly focused visual journey into a cutting-edge medical masterclass. We're looking at the 2026 edition of Nuances of Cleft Lip and Palate Surgery. Let's dive right in and see exactly how modern reconstructive techniques are mapping out the human face.
Here is our roadmap for today. First up, the 2026 Surgical Masterclass. 2. Decoding the cleft palate. 3. Bilateral cleft lip anatomy. And finally, number 4, a legacy of healing.
All right, part 1, the 2026 Surgical Masterclass, focusing on surgical innovations.
Check this out. This is a 2026 user guide and surgical textbook coming out of the Christian Institute of Health Sciences and Research, authored by Dr. Bona S. Lotha and Dr. Temsula Alinger. Did you catch that little badge right there in the corner, using AI imagery? Medical education has seriously evolved. By utilizing AI, the authors generate these hyper-specific, crystal-clear anatomical models that strip away all the visual noise. With practice sessions and peer-reviewed references built right in. It's a total game-changer.
Moving on to Part 2, Decoding the Cleft Palate and its Internal Structures.
This brilliantly illustrates the foundational challenge of the cleft palate. You're dealing with a really distinct U-shape architecture. Now, to the untrained eye, it might just look like a simple line drawing, right? But to a reconstructive surgeon, this is literally a highly delicate topographical map. The gap right there in the center is what the surgeon has to carefully bridge and close in order to restore both function, like speaking and eating, and of course, structure.
So how do you navigate that super tight space without losing your orientation? You divide it up. The surgical margin is broken down into 4 distinct quadrants. In the confined space of a patient's mouth, a surgeon simply can't rely on guesswork. By breaking that U-shape down into quadrants 1 through 4, the surgical team can precisely communicate which specific millimeter of tissue they are manipulating at any given second. Honestly, it is a brilliant way to bring strict mathematical order to organic human tissue.
Okay, Part 3, Bilateral Cleft Lip Anatomy, shifting our focus to external face mapping.
Looking at this bilateral cleft lip geometry, you can clearly spot the prolabium right down there at the bottom center, but look closely at the specific reference points mapping the area. Point 3 sits isolated near the top, point 4.7 anchors the bottom edge right above the prolabium, and those end markers sit out on the far lateral sides. This isn't just drawing, this is architectural drafting for the human face. A surgeon uses these precise notes to figure out exactly where the skin, muscle, and mucosa absolutely must be brought together to create a symmetrical, functional, and totally natural-looking upper lip.
Smack in the middle of the lip structure, right between points 3 and 4.7, is the curva concave center. The surgeon isn't just pulling tissue flat across a gap. Actually, scratch that. If they did it, it would look totally unnatural. They have to actually recreate this complex 3-dimensional slope so the resulting lip has the correct anatomical depression and shape right under the nose. Then, shifting higher up to the upper nasal margins, we hit the soft triangle zone. When repairing a bilateral cleft lip, the shape of the nostrils is heavily impacted. This delicate area of cartilage and skin dictates the shape of the nasal opening, which ensures the surgeon doesn't just fix the lip, but also properly supports the whole nasal base. And finally, we have the myrtiformis zone, which maps the crucial boundaries of the reconstructive area out on the sides of the nose and lip. By defining the prolabium, the curvoconcave center, the soft triangle zone, and the myrtiformis zone, surgeons are basically equipped with a flawless, structured map to navigate this incredibly intricate puzzle box. Which brings us to Part 4, a legacy of healing, rooted in human empathy.
All of this cutting-edge textbook material, it's anchored by real institutions dedicated to changing actual lives. This whole body of work is driven by the Happy Smiles initiative at the John B. Mulliken Legacy Center for Cleft Lip and Palate. It's housed right at the Christian Institute of Health Sciences and Research, CIHSR, over in Dimapur, Nagaland. These masterclasses, the AI-generated imagery, the meticulous quadrant mapping, it literally all exists for one singular purpose: to support the surgeons at these institutions who are giving children their smiles back. That clinical precision we just spent time exploring, it's the exact mechanism by which profound human empathy is delivered.
So, that leaves us with a final thought to ponder. How will these tools shape the smiles of tomorrow? We've seen how integrating advanced AI imagery with foundational anatomical mapping is creating a brand new standard for surgical education in 2026. As these textbooks find their way into the hands of the next generation of surgeons, the precision of their cuts and the symmetry of their reconstructions are just going to get better and better. Remember Dr. Mulliken's words from the very beginning? Never lose your sense of wonder. Looking at how far we've come in reconstructing the human face, I think it's safe to say that wonder is alive and well. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.